After hours.
Hi guys, welcome to Your Earthy Black Girl. This is your host Sana, also known as Your Earthy Black Girl. And I know I missed last week, and I really want to make a conscious effort to just upload more and just try and look for inspiration more because today I was actually very inspired to make this episode and I was very excited. And I feel like those are often the episodes that come out the best when I'm inspired to come up with a topic and talk about the topic. And it's not just something that I pulled from my notes app or just randomly saw somebody else make, so I'm going to make it. So I want to try and be more intentional with producing more ideas so that I am excited to come to you guys with a new episode. And sorry if every after hours episode looks different. Hopefully the lighting is getting on a little bit more consistent basis. But yeah, so let's just go ahead and get right into it. Today I wanted to talk about something that has been very prevalent in me and my friends' lives so far because we are in kind of a transition period. If you guys don't know, I just turned 18 on June 20th, so happy birthday to me. And also, I will be going to college this fall. So there's just a lot of big things happening in my life and a lot of transitions. And this has been heavy on my heart for just as a podcast idea, but also today I really strongly felt like I should make this episode. And initially, it was going to be God will never have you confused. And that I feel like that still stands. It's still a good, important topic, but it goes a little bit deeper than that. And I also wanted the message to be accessible to everyone. So I want to talk about ego versus intuition. Ego versus intuition. I feel like this is something that a lot of people don't talk about, but I have been in so many times in my life where I have had to make a decision and I feel like I'm so confused. Then afterwards, after I get out of it, I realize that I was never really confused. I was avoiding what I already knew. But we'll get into that. So I want to first define both topics and kind of differentiate them. So let's start with ego. I feel like a lot of times when people think of the word ego, they think of it as a bad thing. They think like, oh, your head is so big, your ego is huge, and things like that. But I used to want to be a psychology major, and as you guys know, I would consider myself like a spiritual person. So when I think ego, I kind of think that, like, obviously, like, as growing up in school, TV, that's kind of what you hear. But I also think of the more psychological and spiritual terminology and definition for ego. When you are thinking of yourself as a person, the ego is your sense of self. It's the I, it's the Sana, it's the your earthy black girl. It's all those things, your thoughts, your experiences, all those things that are making up your reality and making up your sense of self, even if at your core, that's not who you are. Like at my core, I'm not Sanaa. If you guys understand what I'm saying, like when I die, I'm not going to be Sanaa because Sanaa is formed by all my experiences and thoughts and behaviors and beliefs. Ego's sole purpose in life is to protect whoever it belongs to. And that isn't in a like fight or flight way. Like you have other parts of your body that are going to do that for you. It is in a more mental, emotional, and social way. Like your ego, if you guys have ever heard of ego death, where you're not actually dying, but it feels like you're dying because your ego has been dissolved and you are your true self, like you are at your soul level at that point, you are your highest self. Like if you ever hear people like tripping on acid or like doing shrooms and they experience an ego death because they just have so much love for themselves and love for everyone else that it surpasses ego. It's not because they're actually dead. It's just because that ego has died and it feels like they're dying because your ego so badly wants to protect you. And that goes to the fact that ego is your identity. That's why when your ego dies, it feels like you're dying. Anyways, all that to basically explain that ego is that part that wants to protect you. It wants to keep you in that constant loop because it wants to protect you. It likes what's familiar. It likes what's comfortable. It likes what is stable, but it doesn't always necessarily want what is best for you in the long run. So, That is why sometimes you can make a decision with your ego, but you shouldn't always. And I'll tell you when I think you should and shouldn't make decisions with ego versus intuition, but all in all, it's up to you because both of these are very important parts of you that are there to protect you and there to help you in your life decisions. Now, I want to talk about intuition. Intuition is a lot more straightforward than ego. Ego literally took me like 30 takes to film, and I had to research on the side because it was just so complicated. But intuition is very straightforward. Intuition is that gut feeling, that sixth sense. It is how you can feel in your core, in your essence, like right from wrong for you, not based on what society tells you, not based on the higher morality. It's based on what feels right to you and what path you should take based on just an inner sense of knowing. So that's the difference between ego and intuition. But now I want to talk a little bit about what the difference is and when you should use which. So, the difference between ego and intuition, and I feel like a lot of people confuse them, is like it's similar to when people are like, oh, intuition versus anxiety. Like, your ego is going to be that kind of source of confusion because it wants you to stay back where you are, wants you to stay, I won't say stagnant, but it wants you to stay in a loop. And I saw like an Instagram post and I'll put it on the screen, but it was basically showing ego as a just a loop, like a continuous loop, and it was showing intuition as a spiral. And I feel like that literally sums it up perfectly to the difference between the two. Like the difference is one of them is going to want you to keep elevating and elevating, like the spiral, you're going to keep turning into yourself and return to self so that you can work on yourself and heal, but it's also going to keep going outwards so that you can elevate and just become the best version of you and live your most fulfilling life. Versus the loop, you don't want to be stuck in a loop, and that's what your ego is going to do because it wants you to be safe, it wants you to be comfortable, it doesn't want to take risks. And that's why I think that both are very, very necessary because like right now, I would say I'm living my life with a little bit of ego and a little bit of intuition because I'm going into school. So you want to make some sort of logical decisions that aren't going to set you up for failure. Like if it was up to me, I would probably drop out of school and just start podcasting full time. That would be probably the intuitive part of me that really wants to like elevate and get to the heart of who I feel like I am, which is a creative. But that ego is there to protect you. It's there to keep you like focused and with the help of your intuition, I feel like. And this is my opinion, so we can have a polite discourse, but this is all my opinion. So I feel like if you are not in a position where you can take those risks in your life, I feel like ego is the perfect way that you should lead during your life. Like if it's about a job and you really don't have another option, sure, there are times where you can just completely trust in yourself, trust in God, and lead with your intuition. But there are also times where your ego is there to protect you. It's going to keep you kind of in that loop. But eventually, we will go to the intuition where you can follow your heart, essentially. I feel like it's mind versus heart, also, in a way. Like, I'm reading the Kabbalion right now. So there is so much talk about duality. And I feel like ego and intuition, heart and mind, well, it would technically be mind and heart, but you guys know what I mean. Like, there's so much duality in that. So, with the example of your job, I really feel like after your ego kind of protects you, that's when you can follow your intuition. And I feel like it's a constant ebb and flow between the two throughout your life because they're both there to help you. Don't demonize one and glorify the other because they're essentially both doing the same thing, which is trying to protect you. And that's also like basically what the Kabbalion is about, which not to kind of detour, but there is no such thing as like opposites. They're both the same thing, just in different degrees. So let's not demonize the ego and glorify intuition because they're both crucial in your life. And that can be kind of tricky because, as I said, you sometimes might need to make a decision that is not the most intuitive in the long run, but it's going to be what protects you. But also, I feel like with intuition, that's going to be the decision that isn't confusing. It's clear. It may be the hard choice, and ego may be the easy choice. And sometimes you need to take the easy route, but don't think of it as I'm confused on what I should do. Sometimes you need to take the easy route and sometimes you need to take the hard route. And that is up for you to know what you can handle in your life at that time, to know which one you need to take and which one's going to be most beneficial for you and your growth. Because at the end of the day, that's what this is all about. But that's all I have for you today, guys. Make sure you choose love, spread love, and be love. And I'll see you guys next week. Bye bye.